There is enough treachery, hatred, violence, absurdity in the average human being to supply any given army on any given day.
And the best at murder are those who preach against it, and the best at hate are those who preach love, and the best at war, finally, are those who preach peace.
Those who preach God need God. Those who preach peace do not have peace. Those who preach peace do not have love.
Beware the preachers, beware the knowers.
Beware those quick to praise, for they need praise in return.
Beware those who are quick to censor. They are afraid of what they do not know.
Beware those who seek constant crowds, for they are nothing alone.
Beware the average man, the average woman. Beware their love. Their love is average, seeks average.
But there is genius in their hatred. There is enough genius in their hatred to kill you, to kill anybody.
외로움을 원치도 않고 외로움을 이해하려고 하지도 않습니다.
They will attempt to destroy anything that differs from their own.
Not being able to create art, they will not understand art.
They will consider their failure as creators only as a failure of the world.
Being able to love fully, they will believe your love incomplete, and then they will hate you.
And their hatred will be perfect, like a shining diamond, like a knife, like a mountain, like a tiger, like hemlock, their finest art.
Always this argument, are humans fundamentally good, are humans fundamentally evil? And I don't know, I tend to think that people have both of them kind of flowing through their systems, and you can decide whether you want to act on the good or whether you want to act on the evil, and those who act on the evil are the ones who then go down in infamy, and the ones who act on the good are the ones that people remember. And I think it also really conveys the sense of power that each person has, because a lot of times people think they don't have enough power to change anything or to do anything. But if you think historically to all of the people who have been fueled by this hatred or violence or absurdity in just average human beings, how many of them came from nothing and built up these empires and these armies that went on to complete like so much destruction. You think about how much power the individual has, and if people are just willing to act on that power in good in the same way as they're willing to act on it in evil, I think that people can make a lot more difference in the world than they live on.
You really have to understand something to talk about it. To really preach against something, you would have to understand the atrocities of, like, in this case, a bad action. You have to understand it fully in order to, like, fully be against it.
It makes you think that people do what they want to do. Those who preach God to others say that they found God, that others need God, they need to find God too. But there are people who don't preach God at all. Atheists, for example, they don't preach God at all, and they don't need God. So those who say that there's peace in this world have never really experienced conflict, I think. People who say that, who need peace in the world, do not actually understand that there is going to be stuff out there in the world that is going to hurt them, and there's going to be a lot of conflict out there. People who preach peace do not have love. If you love someone, there's going to be conflict, and you're going to have to fight, and that's the give and take from it.
I know a lot of people that are really stuck in their ways, and they all want to tell you how you should live your life, and they all want to tell you how things work in the world, when really nobody knows any better than you really probably do.
Now, my opinion of this is that why should we have to beware of people that are always reading? Maybe because people who are always reading means that person is not in touch with the real world, that they live in a fantasy world of creative thinking. Those who hate poverty, why should we beware of those people? Because people who hate poverty, that means that person is maybe snobbish and maybe someone who doesn't care about other people. Now, the third kind of person, why should we beware of the person who is proud of poverty? Well, because that person who's proud of poverty, it may mean that person is really proud of themselves, that they brag, and, you know, honestly, you don't want to hang around that kind of person. So those three people, you should really be careful.
Most people that kind of, they compliment others want compliments themselves. So it's kind of like looking for attention. I guess most people that I hang out with want these kinds of things. If they want a compliment in return, they'll compliment me, and they actually expect a response back, like a compliment back, I guess.
There's a lot of people in charge who try and keep everyone else from reading certain things or doing certain things, and it's not because they have anything against it, just that they don't know and they're scared of it. And that creates a culture of ignorance. Everyone needs to be more knowledgeable, and we don't need to censor things as easily as we do now.
I know some people that aren't even comfortable being in a room by themselves because they're always needing attention, but they also lack self-identification, and they need others to relate, and they take others and use that to make their own personality that they feel in the moment.
Love is greater than just accepting or just tolerating someone who's simply average. When you seek average, you're not desiring anything better. Because it's kind of sad. With average, there's not a lot of effort, which can make the couple kind of seem like their love was taken for granted from each other. But there's a difference between, oh, I'm home, and I'm glad to be finally back with you. I'm glad to finally be back with you may sound sappy, but that's real. That's what my parents have, and they've been married for over 20 years, and that's why the average love kind of stood out to me, because that's not what I want. That's not what I have. There's an effort to be made, and when that effort is made, everything is so much better. If there's someone beside you who you know loves you, and you know you love him, you can get through anything. That's what's wanted. That's what's desired. That's what should be accepted.
You can define genius as knowledge, and I think if you get enough knowledgeable people on a certain subject, then eventually they're just going to think of what they know, instead of being open about things. So like political parties, knowledgeable people, but you see some of them hate each other.
They don't wanna get into someone's life. They wanna just care about their own self.
Politics is kind of my thing, and it kind of reminds me of modern politicians today.
People are not created equal. Some people are artistic and some people are not artistic. If you're not artistic, you'll never be artistic, because it's a talent. And if you don't understand it, you'll understand it. If you do understand it, you'll always understand it, and you'll always love it.
If they mess up making everything, that they can only be judged as a whole, not individually. The collective failure versus individual failures.
People have trouble loving themselves. People don't love themselves. It's really hard to love other people. People don't like to recognize their own mistakes, so they project it on others. So it's not their fault, it's not their problem, it's the other person. And when you don't understand that, it leads to hate, because you don't know what's wrong with you and you don't recognize it, so you project it on someone else. And all of that mix up of not understanding leads to hate. There's so many sad people in the world that just don't understand because they can't love themselves and other people.
Yeah, humans' hatred is their greatest art form. Because someone does create art, they disregard them and belittle them, but they're also secretly jealous of them, and so they seek out to destroy them. I grew up in a military town in Columbus, Georgia, near Fort Benning, and most people think very highly of soldiers and highly respect them. And the difference in levels of respect between people who create war is higher than that of artists who aren't really creating bad things. People who create war and who are just so evil, they get more recognition than people who create good. People, they preach that they want good, but when they see good in the world, they either don't really recognize it or they belittle it. But when someone creates something bad, like war, they get so much more recognition.